The sky darkened over every major city on Earth at the same time. It was not clouds or an eclipse. It was them. The Zerthak had arrived. Their massive mothership hung in the sky, so large it created its own weather patterns beneath it. Smaller ships, each the size of a small town, surrounded it like worker bees around their queen. The world fell silent as humans everywhere stopped and looked up. Television, radio, internet, all screens suddenly showed the same image. A tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms and eyes that glowed yellow. This was Admiral Vexlor, though humans did not yet know his name. People of Earth, the alien's voice boomed in perfect English. I am Admiral Vexlor of the Zerthak Imperium. We have conquered 12 galaxies and thousands of worlds. Your planet is now under our control. In the United Nations Emergency Chamber, world leaders gathered in panic. Military generals shouted about missiles and nuclear options. Scientists argued about alien technology. Religious leaders prayed. No one had answers. Your weapons are useless against us, Vexlor continued. Your technology is primitive. Your defenses are meaningless. You have 2 choices: surrender completely to the Imperium or face extinction. You have 1 Earth day to decide. The alien's face disappeared from screens worldwide. Chaos followed. In some cities, people rioted. In others, they gathered in prayer. Many fled to the countryside. Some simply sat in shock, watching the ships hover silently above. At the UN, Secretary General Okafor made a decision. Get me Maya Chen, he ordered. 3 hours later, Maya Chen stood before the Emergency Council. At 35, the former Olympic athlete turned diplomat was known for her unconventional thinking. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her eyes showed no fear. You want me to talk to them? She asked, looking around the room. You've negotiated with warlords, terrorists, and dictators, said Okafor. Now we need you to negotiate with aliens. Maya nodded. Open a channel to their ship. When Admiral Vexlor's face appeared on the UN screens again, Maya stepped forward. Admiral, I am Maya Chen, speaking for Earth. We have received your ultimatum. The alien's yellow eyes narrowed. And your answer? Maya's voice remained calm. We request 30 Earth days to prepare our response. This is a big decision for our planet. Vexlor laughed, a strange sound like metal grinding. 30 days. You need only 1 to see that resistance is pointless. Nevertheless, Maya said, we ask for 30 days to prepare properly for the new era ahead. Surely a great empire like yours can grant this small courtesy. The alien studied her for a long moment. In his 12,000 years of life, he had overseen the conquest of many worlds. Usually they begged for mercy immediately. Very well, he finally said. 30 days. It changes nothing. Use the time to accept your fate. As the transmission ended, the room erupted in questions. What are you thinking? Demanded the Russian president. We can't fight them. Maya's lips curved into a slight smile. No, not with missiles or tanks. But we have something they don't expect. What's that? Asked Okafor. Humanity, she answered simply. Now get me Dr. Elijah Kama from Kenya, Colonel Sarah Blackwood from the Special Forces, and that Russian billionaire inventor, Dmitry Volkov. Maya looked up at the ceiling, imagining the aliens waiting above. The Zerthak think they've won already. That's exactly what we need them to think. Outside, the alien ships continued to hover, casting shadows over a world that was already planning how to fight back. 24 hours after the alien ultimatum, the world was different. Panic remained, but something else was growing. Determination. In an underground bunker beneath Geneva, Maya Chen watched as 3 very different people entered the room. Dr. Elijah Kama wore a simple white lab coat over jeans. His round glasses kept sliding down his nose as he carried a stack of papers. Colonel Sarah Blackwood entered in full military uniform, her face serious and scared from past battles. Last came Dmitry Volkov, the Russian billionaire, dressed in an expensive suit, but with grease stains on his hands. "Thank you for coming," Maya said. "You're here because each of you has something we need to survive." Dr. Kama spoke first. "I've been studying the energy readings from the alien ships." His voice was soft but excited. "They use a quantum field technology that has a pattern, a weakness we might exploit." Might. Colonel Blackwood crossed her arms. "We need certainties, not theories." "In science, nothing is certain," Dr. Kamau replied. "But I am 87% confident." Volkov laughed loudly. "I like those odds. Better than the 0% chance we have otherwise." He placed a small metal cube on the table. "My anti-gravity technology. Not perfect, but it works. I was saving it to make billions. Now I give it freely to save Earth." Maya nodded. "Colonel Blackwood, we need a team that can infiltrate the mothership." The colonel's face showed surprise. "Infiltrate? That's insane." "Insanity is exactly what they won't expect," Maya replied. As they talked, similar meetings were happening worldwide. In Tokyo, engineers worked on adapting civilian technology for defense. In Rio de Janeiro, scientists studied alien communication patterns. In Cairo, military strategists planned coordinated responses. For the first time in human history, all countries worked together without argument. Old enemies shared resources. Rich helped poor. Everyone contributed. Meanwhile, in small towns and big cities, ordinary people found ways to help. Farmers offered food. Teachers turned classrooms into planning centers. Computer programmers wrote code to protect Earth's systems. In his basement in Chicago, 16-year-old Jamie Wong didn't leave his computer for days. Jamie had always been different. His mind saw patterns others missed. While government hackers tried to break alien codes, Jamie simply watched them, learning their rhythm. "Mom," he said when his mother brought him dinner, "the aliens use the same patterns over and over. They're predictable." His mother smiled sadly, thinking this was just her son's usual obsession with patterns. She didn't realize he had discovered something crucial. Aboard the mothership, Admiral Vex Lore watched Earth's activities with amusement. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Zex, reported unusual energy spikes around the planet. "They're mobilizing their primitive weapons," Vex Lore said dismissively. "It's pointless." "But sir," Zex hesitated, "the pattern is strange. Not like typical weapon preparations we've seen on other worlds." Vex Lore waved his 4 arms in dismissal. "They're humans. Primitive creatures who still fight among themselves. What could they possibly do that we haven't seen before?" Back in Geneva, Maya Chen smiled as the first phase of Earth's plan took shape. 28 days left, she told her team. "Let's make every second count." The alien ships continued to hover above Earth, their crews completely unaware that humanity was about to teach them a lesson they would never forget. 1 week had passed since the aliens arrived. In a secure room beneath the Pentagon, Jamie Wong sat surrounded by military officials and scientists. The skinny teenager looked out of place among the uniforms and lab coats, but everyone listened carefully as he spoke. "Look at this," Jamie said, pointing to screens showing intercepted alien communications. The Zerthak followed the same patterns every time. Their ship movements, their communication schedules, even their guard rotations, they never change. General Martinez frowned. "Why is that important?" Jamie's fingers tapped nervously on the table. "Because it means they don't adapt. They'd been so powerful for so long, they'd forgotten how to change." Dr. Kamau, who had flown in from Geneva, nodded excitedly. "The boy is right. Humans survived on Earth because we adapted constantly. We went from caves to space in a blink of cosmic time because we had to keep changing to survive." The room fell silent as everyone considered this idea. "You're saying our weakness is our strength?" Colonel Blackwood asked. "Exactly," Jamie replied. "Humans are unpredictable. We try crazy things when desperate. The Zerthak don't understand that because they've only known victory for thousands of years." Meanwhile, on the mothership, Sub-Commander Zex brought more reports to Admiral Vexlor. "Sir, we've detected unusual energy patterns in these locations." Zex pointed to a map showing spots across Earth. "They appear to be building something." Vexlor studied the map briefly. "Primitive weapons, no doubt. Nothing that could harm our ships." "But sir," Zex persisted, "our analysis can't identify what they're building. It doesn't match any known human technology." "Because they're desperate," Vexlor laughed. "They're trying anything they can think of. It's amusing, really." Back on Earth, Maya Chen met with world leaders to share the developing plan. In every country, hidden facilities were being prepared. Volkov's anti-gravity technology was being mass-produced in secret factories. Dr. Kamau's team had built devices to exploit the quantum field weakness he discovered. "Now we need a way to get these devices onto their ships," Maya explained. "We need them to invite us aboard." The Chinese president looked skeptical. "Why would they invite us onto their ships?" Maya smiled. "Because we're going to appeal to their curiosity. All conquerors want to understand what they're conquering." In homes around the world, people followed instructions broadcast on secure channels. Millions modified their satellite dishes, television antennas, and radio equipment according to simple directions. Nobody knew exactly what they were building, but everyone worked together. In his Chicago basement, Jamie had another breakthrough. "Mom," he called out, "I need to talk to Dr. Kamau right away." After a hurried video call, Jamie was flown to Washington. His discovery was too important to discuss over any network the aliens might monitor. 21 days remained before Earth's deadline. In the sky, the alien ships maintained their perfect formation, never changing position. The Zerthak were so confident in their superiority that they didn't notice the subtle signs of humanity's greatest skill in action: adaptation. "We're almost ready for the next phase," Maya told her team. "It's time to send our cultural delegation." A cultural exchange. Admiral Vexlor's yellow eyes narrowed as he stared at Maya Chen on the video screen. "Yes," Maya said calmly. "Before Earth makes its final decision, we would like to share our art, music, and dance with you, to show you what makes humans special." The alien commander laughed, the sound like grinding metal. "Very well. It will be interesting to see these primitive cultural artifacts before your species joins our empire." After the transmission ended, Colonel Blackwood approached Maya. He agreed, "Just like you said he would. Powerful beings are often curious about those they consider beneath them," Maya replied. "Now the real work begins." 2 days later, a group of 20 humans prepared to board a shuttle to the mothership. Among them were famous musicians, dancers, and artists from around the world. They carried instruments, art pieces, and costumes. And hidden among them were Colonel Blackwood and 5 elite soldiers. "Remember," Maya told them before they left, "the Zerthak will scan for weapons. That's why we've hidden our real tools inside these cultural items." Blackwood nodded. She wore the costume of a classical Indian dancer, with special devices hidden in her jewelry. The other soldiers were disguised as musicians, their instruments containing the quantum devices Dr. Kamau had created. When the humans arrived on the mothership, they were led to a massive hall where hundreds of Zerthak gathered to watch them. The aliens towered over the humans, their blue skin glowing under the strange lights. "Begin your presentation," Admiral Vexlor commanded from his elevated seat. The performance started with music. A Japanese musician played a haunting melody on a flute. The Zerthak, who had never heard such sounds, fell silent. Their yellow eyes widened. Next came dancers from Brazil, moving with such grace and energy that even the alien guards stopped watching the exits and turned to observe. While the Zerthak were distracted, Colonel Blackwood slipped away. Using the ship layout Jamie had predicted based on the aliens' predictable patterns, she moved through corridors, placing tiny devices at key locations. Meanwhile, an African painter created a swirling artwork that seemed to move and change as the aliens watched. The Zerthak had never seen colors used this way, and they moved closer, fascinated. Human creativity is unexpected, Sub-Commander Zex whispered to Admiral Vexlor. It is primitive but interesting, the Admiral admitted. Their extinction will be a small loss to the galaxy. As the performance continued, more of Blackwood's team slipped away, placing devices throughout the ship. Each device was no larger than a coin but contained technology that would connect with the worldwide network being built on Earth. In one crucial moment, a singer hit a note so pure and powerful that the Zerthak actually stepped back in surprise. During that brief distraction, Blackwood placed the final device near the ship's quantum core. The core fluctuates exactly as Dr. Kamau predicted. She whispered into her hidden communicator. Jamie was right about their patterns. Back on Earth, Dr. Kamau received the message and smiled. The pieces are in place, he told Maya. When they return, we'll be ready for Phase 5. As the human delegation prepared to leave the mothership, Admiral Vexlor approached them. Your arts are more interesting than expected. Perhaps we will preserve some of your culture after your surrender. The human performers bowed respectfully, hiding their secret smiles. 16 days remained until the deadline. 2 days before the deadline, Admiral Vexlor prepared for Earth's surrender. On the bridge of the mothership, he reviewed the ceremony plans with his officers. The human leaders will kneel here, he said, pointing to a spot on the floor map. I will accept their surrender, and then we begin standard colonization procedures. Sub-Commander Zex nodded but looked troubled. Sir, I've noticed something strange. Energy readings on Earth have changed. Millions of small power sources are all activating at the same time. Vexlor dismissed the concern. Probably they're primitive celebrations before surrender. Nothing to worry about. On Earth, those celebrations were actually the final preparations for humanity's counterattack. In homes across the planet, people turned on modified devices according to a precise schedule. Television antennas, satellite dishes, and cell phones had been converted to work together as one massive weapon. At the command center in Geneva, Maya Chen watched the clock. 24 hours until we show them what humans can do, she told her team. Dr. Kamau worked frantically at his computer. The quantum calculations are complete. When Colonel Blackwood's devices activate, the alien shields will be vulnerable for exactly 3.8 seconds. Is that enough time? Maya asked. It has to be, Dr. Kamau replied. In his basement in Chicago, Jamie Wong put on a headset that connected him directly to military leaders around the world. The alien communication pattern changes every 6 hours, he explained. We need to strike exactly when they switch protocols. The next day, as the deadline approached, Admiral Vexlor contacted Earth. Your time is up. What is your decision? Maya Chen stood before the camera, her face calm. Admiral, humanity has decided to fight. For the first time, Vexlor showed surprise. Fight. You cannot possibly win. Maybe not, Maya replied. But humans never surrender without trying the impossible. Before Vexlor could respond, Maya gave the signal. Dr. Kamau pressed a button that activated Colonel Blackwood's devices on the mothership. At the same moment, people around the world turned on their modified electronics. What happened next shocked even the humans who planned it. A massive electromagnetic pulse, precisely tuned to the frequency of Zerthak technology, shot upward from Earth. As it reached the alien ships, Colonel Blackwood's devices created quantum disruptions in their shields. On the mothership, alarms blared. Lights flickered and went out. Admiral Vexlor shouted orders, but nothing worked. What is happening? He roared. Shields are down, Zex cried. Secondary systems failing. This is impossible. On smaller ships throughout the fleet, similar chaos erupted. Some ships drifted out of formation. Others lost power completely. For 3.8 seconds, the mighty Zerthak fleet was vulnerable. And humanity made those seconds count. Jet fighters using Volkov's anti-gravity technology shot upward, moving in ways that defied the aliens' understanding of physics. They targeted specific points on the smaller ships that Jamie had identified as weaknesses. When the alien shields came back online, It was too late. 7 smaller ships had been damaged. One was completely disabled and drifting. In the command center, humans cheered as they watched the alien fleet's perfect formation break for the first time. It worked, Dr. Kamau whispered in amazement. Maya nodded. This is just the beginning. Now we move to Phase 6. Admiral Vexlor stared at the view screen in shock. In 9,000 years of conquest, no species had ever damaged a Zerthak fleet. How? He demanded. How did these primitives do this? No one had an answer. Admiral Vexlor slammed his 4 fists onto the command console. His yellow eyes glowed with rage. Target their largest cities. Launch all weapons, he shouted. The Zerthak weapons officers rushed to obey, but quickly encountered a problem. Admiral, we can't lock onto targets, one reported. Our systems show thousands of false signals. We can't tell which are real cities and which are fake. This electronic confusion was the work of thousands of teenage gamers, computer experts, and military hackers working together. They flooded the alien targeting systems with false information, creating ghost cities and hiding real ones. Find a way, Vexlor demanded. I want this planet punished. On Earth, Maya Chen watched the alien fleet through satellite images. They're trying to target our cities, she told world leaders on a secure video call. Our electronic countermeasures are working, but they won't last forever. The Russian president spoke up. Volkov's fighters are ready for the next attack. Good, Maya said. But now we need Colonel Blackwood. High above Earth, Colonel Blackwood and her team were not on Earth as the aliens believed. After placing the quantum devices on the mothership, they had hidden in a maintenance area rather than returning to Earth. Now they moved through the ship's corridors, using the aliens' predictable patrol patterns to avoid detection. Team 2, in position. Blackwood whispered into her communicator, ready to disable their main targeting system. Meanwhile, Earth's fighters launched again. This time, the pilots used new tactics that no training manual had ever taught. They flew directly at alien ships, then made turns that would kill a normal human. The G-forces would have been deadly, but Volkov's anti-gravity technology protected them. The Zerthak gunners, trained to fight enemies that followed logical battle patterns, couldn't hit the human fighters who flew in ways that made no sense. What are they doing? Sub-Commander Zex asked in confusion. These attack patterns are suicidal. But they're working, Vexlor growled. How many ships have we lost now? 3 disabled, 9 damage, Zex reported. Admiral, we've never seen fighting like this. They don't follow any logical battle doctrine. Inside the mothership, Blackwood's team reached the main targeting array. Planting explosives, she reported. Detonation in 30 seconds. Just as the Zerthak finally managed to lock onto New York City, a massive explosion rocked the mothership. The targeting system went completely offline. What happened? Vexlor roared. Internal explosion, sir. An officer reported. It's impossible. Security scans showed no humans remained aboard. Vexlor's face darkened. Find them. Find the humans and kill them. But Blackwood and her team were already moving to their next target, using air ducts the tall Zerthak couldn't access. On Earth, Janie Wong made another discovery. The mothership's engines use a predictable power cycle, he told Dr. Kama. There's a 3-second window when they're especially vulnerable. Dr. Kama immediately called Maya. We need to hit them again, and harder this time. Tell everyone to increase power to their devices. As night fell across the world, lights dimmed as millions diverted electricity to the modified devices in their homes. The power grid strained but held as humanity prepared for their second major attack. Admiral Vexlor, for the first time in his long life, felt something new. Doubt. These humans, he said quietly to Zex, they don't fight like any species we've encountered. No, sir, Zex agreed. They fight like they have nothing to lose. And that, Vexlor realized, makes them dangerous. We've damaged their ships and disrupted their targeting systems. Maya Chen told the emergency council. Now it's time to break their spirit. Around the table, experts in psychology, anthropology, and marketing nodded. They had been studying the alien communications intercepted by Jamie Wong. Professor Rosario, an anthropologist, pointed to images of the Zerthak. They have a rigid social structure. The lower ranks never question the higher ranks. But we've noticed something. When their leaders make mistakes, the lower ranks become uncertain. Can we use that? Maya asked. Absolutely, said Dr. Kim, a psychologist. We've analyzed their language and cultural references. There are deep divisions in their society that they never speak about openly. In Chicago, Jamie Wong worked with the team remotely. I found patterns in their communication frequencies, he explained. We can send messages directly to their ships using their own channels. Within hours, Earth was ready for a new kind of attack, not with weapons, but with words. On the mothership, a strange message appeared on the screens of lower-ranking crew members. Why do you die for Admiral Vexilor's mistakes? 9 ships damaged. He promised an easy victory. Ask yourselves, how many more will die because of his pride? The message disappeared quickly, but the damage was done. Whispers spread through the lower decks. When Vexilor learned of the message, he was furious. Block all unauthorized transmissions, he ordered. But humans were clever. When the Zerthak blocked one communication method, Earth switched to another. They used laser pulses aimed at ship viewports, sending messages in the Zerthak's own visual language. Workercast, remember the rebellion of Zorkath. Your ancestors fought for equality. The Admiralty crushed them. Will you let history repeat? This message referred to an ancient conflict in Zerthak history that most have forgotten, but the information was correct. Colonel Blackwood had found it in the mothership's historical archives during her sabotage mission. The psychological attacks continued. Earth broadcast to specific ships, reminding lower officers of past injustices. They questioned religious doctrines that justify conquest. They planted seeds of doubt in minds that had never questioned authority. How are they doing this? Vexilor demanded. How do they know our history, our private communications channels? No one had answers. In the engine room of the mothership, 2 engineers spoke quietly. Is it true? One asked. About the rebellion of Zorkath. My grandfather told me stories. The other replied. He said our people once fought for equality. Then why are we helping destroy these humans? They fight for their freedom, just as our ancestors did. Similar conversations happened throughout the fleet. For the first time in centuries, the Zerthak began to question their mission. On Earth, Maya received reports of the psychological campaign's success. It's working, she told her team. Now we need one more push. Jamie Wong, who hadn't slept in days, looked up from his computer. I found it, he said, his voice excited. The mothership's power core has a fluctuation pattern. There's a moment every 12 hours when it's completely vulnerable. Dr. Kamau examined Jamie's findings. The boy is right. If we hit them at exactly the right millisecond. Maya nodded. Prepare for the final phase. And get me Colonel Blackwood, if she's still alive. To everyone's surprise, Blackwood's voice came through. Still here, she said. And I've made some friends you should meet. Friends? What friends? Maya asked, shocked to hear Colonel Blackwood was not only alive, but had found allies on the alien ship. The Zerthak aren't the only species on this ship, Blackwood explained through the crackling communication. There are hundreds of slaves from worlds they conquered. I freed some of them. On the mothership, Blackwood stood in a hidden maintenance room surrounded by strange creatures of different shapes and colors. They had been prisoners, forced to work for the Zerthak. They know the ship better than the Zerthak themselves, Blackwood continued, and they hate their masters. This was news that changed everything. Maya quickly called Dr. Kamau and Jamie Wong to join the call. Colonel, we'd found a weakness in the mothership's power core, Dr. Kamau explained. It fluctuates in a predictable pattern. There's a moment when it's vulnerable. Can you get to the power core? Maya asked. With help from my new friends, yes, Blackwood replied. Jamie joined in, his voice excited despite his exhaustion. The fluctuation happens in exactly 4 hours. You'll have a 3-second window to plant the disruptor. Meanwhile, Admiral Vexlor faced growing problems. More ships had been damaged by human attacks. The psychological warfare had created unrest among his crew. And now security reported that slaves were missing. How is this happening? Vexlor demanded. How can primitive humans cause so much trouble? Sub-Commander Zex hesitated before speaking. Sir, I've been analyzing their tactics. They don't fight like a military. They fight like survivors. Explain, Vexlor ordered. Our military doctrine is based on overwhelming force and predictable patterns. It's worked for thousands of years because we're always stronger. But humans, Zex struggled to find the right words. Humans fight dirty. They use tricks. They do things no sane military would try. In Geneva, Maya prepared for what might be their final chance. Every device on Earth would need to fire at exactly the right second, coordinated with Blackwood's team on the mothership. Tell everyone, she instructed her communications team. Every home, every device. Maximum power at exactly 3:42 p.m. Greenwich time. As word spread around the world, people made final preparations. Families gathered around their modified devices. Hospital backup generators stood ready. Even children helped by collecting batteries to power smaller devices. On the mothership, Blackwood led her team of former slaves through narrow maintenance tunnels toward the power core. Among them was a small, 6-eyed creature named Krill who had worked in the core room for 20 years. Guards change at fixed times. Krill whispered, always the same pattern. The Zerthak loved their patterns, Blackwood replied with a smile. As they approached the core room, they heard shouting. The psychological warfare had worked better than expected. 2 officers were arguing loudly with their subordinates, who had begun questioning orders. Perfect timing, Blackwood whispered. While the guards were distracted, her team slipped into the core room unnoticed. The massive power core pulsed with blue energy. Following Jamie's instructions, Blackwood placed the quantum disruptor precisely where the energy flow was weakest. Disruptor planted, she reported back to Earth. Now we wait. On Earth, Maya looked at the clock. 1 hour until the synchronized attack. She took a deep breath and addressed the world's leaders. This is our moment, she said simply. Humanity's finest hour. As the final countdown began, chaos erupted aboard the mothership. 3 Zerthak battle cruisers suddenly broke formation and moved away from Earth. What are they doing? Vexlor shouted. Order them back to formation immediately. A communication officer replied nervously. Sir, they're not responding. Captain Mextar of the destroyer Vengeance says he will not participate in a dishonorable war. Vexlor's yellow eyes widened in shock. In 9,000 years of Zerthak conquest, no ship had ever disobeyed orders. This is mutiny. Target those ships and fire. Sir, Sub-Commander Zex looked alarmed. Fire on our own ships. Do it now. Vexlor roared. But before Zex could relay the order, more problems arose. Throughout the ship, alarms blared. The lower-caste engineers, inspired by the human broadcasts about the ancient rebellion of Zorkath, had stopped working. The ship's engines began to overheat. Engineering reports a work stoppage, an officer announced. The workers are demanding to speak with you about ship conditions. Arrest them all. Vexlor ordered. Execute the leaders. Many officers hesitated, looking at each other uncertainly. The human psychological warfare had planted deep doubts in their minds. Sir, Zex said quietly, perhaps we should listen to their concerns. You too. Vexlor turned on his second in command. Is everyone forgetting their place? We are the Zerthak. We do not negotiate with inferiors. As the officers argued, Colonel Blackwood and her team of freed slaves reached the bridge's secondary access point. Through a small air vent, they could see the growing conflict among the command staff. "They're falling apart," Blackwood whispered into her communicator. "The psychological attacks worked better than we hoped." On Earth, Maya received the news with grim satisfaction. "It's time for the final push," she told world leaders. All across the planet, people stood ready by their devices. In his basement in Chicago, Jamie Wong gave the final countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now. Millions of modified devices activated simultaneously, sending a precisely calculated pulse toward the mothership. At the exact same moment, Colonel Blackwood activated the quantum disruptor planted near the power core. The effect was immediate and devastating. The mothership's shields collapsed completely. Its engines shut down. Lights flickered throughout the massive vessel. On the bridge, Vexilor watched in horror as system after system failed. "What is happening?" he demanded. No one answered. Half the bridge crew were already rushing to escape pods, fearing the ship would explode. At that critical moment, Maya Chen appeared on all the mothership's screens. She wore simple clothes but spoke with the authority of all humanity behind her. "Admiral Vexilor," she said in perfect Zurthak language, learned from the freed slaves. "Your ship is disabled. Your fleet is in disarray. You have two choices: order a complete withdrawal from Earth space or face complete destruction." The bridge fell silent. Maya continued, "We offer you what you never offered others: the chance to leave in peace." Then she spoke words that shook the Zurthak to their core, quoting from their own ancient religious texts. "When the worthy enemy rises, the Imperium must bow in respect or face the judgment of the stars." This ancient prophecy, forgotten by most Zurthak, created immediate religious panic among the crew. Many fell to their knees, believing that humans were the prophesied worthy enemy of legend. Vexilor stood alone, his empire crumbling around him, facing a choice no Zurthak commander had ever faced: surrender or destruction. Admiral Vexilor stared at Maya Chen's image on the screen. In his 300 years of life, he had conquered 17 worlds without a single defeat. Now his mighty ship was disabled. His crew was in revolt. And a human, a primitive creature who should have surrendered, was offering him mercy. "How?" he finally asked, his voice quiet. "How did your species do this?" Maya's expression remained calm. "Admiral, I request a face-to-face meeting. There are things you should understand about humans." 2 hours later, in the mothership's grand meeting hall, Maya Chen stood before Admiral Vexilor. Colonel Blackwood and her team of freed aliens stood nearby, weapons ready. Sub-Commander Zex and the remaining loyal officers flanked their leader. "You asked how we defeated you," Maya began. "The answer is simple. Humans never accept impossible odds. We've spent our entire history fighting to survive. Against nature, against disease, against each other. Every human alive today comes from ancestors who refuse to give up." Vexilor studied her with new interest. "But your technology is primitive. Your species is divided. Your lives are so short. By every measure, you should have surrendered." Maya smiled. "That's what every predator on our planet thought before humans outsmarted them. That's what every disease believed before we found cures. That's what every tyrant assumed before people rose up. Humans don't know how to stop trying impossible things." Around the room, the freed slaves from other conquered worlds listened with growing hope. If humans could defeat the mighty Zurthak, perhaps their worlds could be free too. "I have reviewed the ancient texts," Sub-Commander Zex said suddenly. "The prophecy of the worthy enemy is clear. They shall come from a blue world, united in crisis though divided in peace. They shall turn the Imperium's strength against itself. They shall offer mercy where none is deserved." Vexilor sighed deeply. "What do you want?" Maya Chen of Earth. "Revenge. Our technology." "Neither," Maya replied. "We want peace, but peace as equals, not as conquered subjects. And we want freedom for all worlds in your empire." The request was unprecedented. No species had ever negotiated terms with the Zerthak. Impossible. Vexlor began, but then stopped himself. He looked at the humans who had done so many impossible things already. Perhaps not impossible after all. 3 months later, Maya Chen led a delegation of humans to the Zerthak homeworld. For the first time in the Imperium's history, representatives from all conquered worlds gathered not as slaves, but as equals in a new galactic council. Admiral Vexlor, now serving as ambassador to Earth, showed humans around the ancient capital city. Our civilization became stagnant, he admitted. We stopped adapting, stopped learning. Perhaps that was our greatest weakness. On the final day of the historic meeting, Vexlor presented Maya with a medal, the highest honor in Zerthak culture. The inscription read, "To the worthy enemy who became a worthy friend." As the human delegation prepared to return to Earth, Vexlor asked one final question that had been bothering him. If we had attacked immediately, without giving you 30 days, would the outcome have been different? Maya Chen smiled. Admiral, that's the final lesson about humans. The more impossible the situation, the more creative we become. You never had a chance. Throughout the galaxy, a new saying spread among spacefaring races. Challenge humans at your peril. They do not understand the meaning of impossible.